All right, what's going on, Robo Nation? Thank you guys so much. Sorry for the delay here. We had some technical difficulties, but we are here now. We are live. This is number 15 of the live interviews, the Robo Lives. Couple things. Quick shout out to our 25-year-old winner of the Earth Day contest, Austin Mayer. He's designing some incredible stuff for bees. So it's going to be a cool project that we're going to carry on throughout the next couple weeks. Also, congrats to 10-year-old Felicity, who won a Robo C2 at the USA Science and Engineering Festival. She's been messaging me all these pictures of stuff she's creating. It's pretty incredible and inspiring. But let's get to the special guests. If you guys have any comments, go ahead and write them below. We can talk about them on the live interview. Obviously, if you aren't here for the live, we can answer those questions after the fact too. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest. Special guest, as always. He is the founder of YouTube channel Teachers Tech, which I think I just looked at is over 63,000 subscribers. So pretty cool there. He has 15 years of teaching experience. And from what I know, he's an all-around great guy. So without further ado, Mr. Jamie Keet, we are going to bring you on the live here. I wish I need what's up? How you doing? I need some type of theme music when I bring people in. I feel like that's the only thing I'm missing here.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I'm glad it finally all worked out with all this tech stuff here.
Yeah, it's all good. How you doing, man? Where are you located?
Great. The snow's gone here finally. So
where are you at? Are you in Canada?
I'm in Canada here by Calgary. So we just finally, a week ago, we still had a lot of snow, but now it's all gone. So
cool. I love it. All right. So let's just dive right into it. Tell me a little bit about just your background. Who is Jamie Keet?
Like you said, I've taught, I think now it's been 17 years. I've taught K through 12, helped a lot of teachers along the way. And lately I've just kind of transitioned to do another job in education. That's being an instructor, instructional coach for the division. So which I'm really excited about because now I get to kind of bring this stuff. Before I was just playing with it and kind of showing my students, but now I can kind of show all the different things I've been playing with and kind of getting teachers comfortable with playing with all this tech stuff and exciting things like 3D printing and
tell me a little bit about I love bringing in people that have YouTube channels because I want to hear the story about how they got started creating the channel. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey into deciding you wanted to create the channle, how you decided what you wanted to focus on, all that?
It was kind of accidental. I think a lot of people with YouTube channels kind of start. I didn't understand the scope of it or anything, but I was teaching something where I couldn't help people in tech as much. I had a class of grade 5, which I love teaching, but people were still coming to me with a bunch of tech questions, and I was trying to figure a way to kind of build their capacity because I couldn't leave their classroom. So I thought, maybe if I did a screencast, and then I thought about, where do I host this? And it looked like YouTube. And then, I do mine a little different. I have my floating head in it, with a green screen in the back, because when I do it that way, I also feel like I'm talking to somebody. I think it's the teacher in me where when I look at the camera, I feel like, that's me, that's my class out there, or that's who I'm trying to help out there. So it makes me feel more connected that way too. So I like it that way. How
long have you had the channel?
It's been about 2.5 years. I think about 2.5 years. So now I know I've been focusing it on a little bit more this year, because I just want to see now the possibilities. And I think now I'm on pace for this year. I'll hit 100,000 by the end of this year.
I wrote down when I first reached out to you because I really liked your channel. I wrote down that you were at 50,000, and that wasn't even that long ago.
No,
you're already almost at 64,000. So it's grown quite a bit, which is exciting, I bet. Yeah,
no, it's fun. The feedback you get from people. I think that's my biggest thing is when you give out video and it's amazing in the comments. It's just thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, and now I'm always trying to figure ways. How can you make it better? How can I make, I'm still learning about it as I go along. And that's a nice thing with tech. It's always changing. So it's always time to experiment with some new stuff all the time too. So
yeah, most definitely. So tell me a little. You've been teaching for 17 years. You said. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your passion. Honestly, maybe how it's changed in terms of education.
Yeah, I've always been kind of based in technology. I've taught high school where going back to when I first started, it was just kind of Office, Microsoft Office stuff and different things. But then I think I really got into like web design and video production and different things like that. And so I've always been kind of waiting for the next, looking what could I bring to students all the time. So then at the school I was at, it was always, all the leaders that we had in there were very good and kind of let us do our thing. They trusted us. And so I would experiment, like how I brought 3D printing in the last couple of years. It's been, fun to kind of just say, even not knowing, when you're learning about it, to bring it in and see how the kids kind of, well, especially 3D printing. I like just seeing how their eyes, when they see that first print, and then they kind of connect the dots. Not every kid, but for a few, some of them, it's just, it's fun to watch.
That's all we can ask for. I know not everyone's going to have that moment, but I agree. Like, I feel like doing a bunch of shows, and especially like teaching to, not teaching, but speaking to schools, I've seen a lot of kids have that moment. I think the same moment you're talking about, where they actually like see the technology working for the first time, and it just sort of opens their mind up to all these like this creative energy and ideas and
the possibilities. So and then thinking ahead 5 years, where will it be at, and what will it be? I'm always looking for those things. How is it going to be, mainstream in society in 5 years? With this, the whole 3D printing industry in 5 years, I can't even imagine where it will be. Got it.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to see kind of what happens. Have you seen sort of the shift in education from, because when I went to school, it was all about like sitting in rows and desks and taking tests and learning from a textbook. How have you seen that kind of shift now, especially with new technology that you're teaching? And I think that's the whole idea of creativity is becoming such a big part, whether you're looking at STEM or STEAM, but just in creativity and imagination. Yesterday, I was at a conference all day with our division, and it was the speaker, it was all about creativity, imagination, trying to, get kids just thinking outside the box and doing things like that. So, whether how we implement it and everything will be, that's the hard part, because we still have our curriculum standards and everything to fit in everything. But at least now the talk is there. So when I get excited about that talk and about the possibilities that, as you said, the rows, we're not designed, that was for a different era. When I see these new rooms, I don't see rows. I see maybe couches or spaces where collaboration happens. And, and it's just a different environment. If I walk into a computer lab, and even my old computer lab was still like this, but it was like just rows and kind of set up, it didn't have that creativity feel to it. And I think that's something about it, it doesn't have to be expensive either to have it, to get that creative feel. It just has to, it's just not about setting up rows and trying to get the most out of each student with quantity. Have you had a chance to see I always talk about this and promote the documentary Most Likely to Succeed?
I've heard of that. I haven't seen that though.
It's a documentary I always talk about, and they describe like the era that you're talking about with like rows and chairs, how that was like built for the assembly line era, where most jobs were blue collar jobs, and now like just jobs have changed so drastically, and those jobs are being replaced by robotics and things like that. So they're kind of saying education needs to shift towards this new era, which it sounds like it's already starting to happen, and you see a lot of STEAM and STEM and collaboration and stuff. So a lot of technology be implemented in the classroom. And so it's definitely exciting to see that kind of stuff happening.
Hard to keep up with the change sometimes, of what's happening in the world, to put it in. That's where you need those teachers to be, not afraid to just sometimes try things. And even if it fails, it's okay. Just try something else the next day with it,
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about when was your first like exposure into 3D printing?
It was probably about 2 years ago. I bought a 3D printer, and I wasn't really sure what to do with it. And I thought I would, bring it in school and do all these cool things. But even the amount of information that's out there now versus 2 years ago, everything too. But I guess even as much as technology as I knew about and everything, there was something that kind of scared me a little bit about I didn't understand, well, what could it do, or what would be interesting for the kids. But so I probably bought this printer and just had it sitting in my office, and I was making YouTube channel. I had my YouTube channel, and I thought, in my mind, I was just thinking, this is something I need to do for my YouTube channel, just because I just think it's the future of so much. And then it was two years ago, I just thought, or a year and a half ago, I thought, I'm just going to bring it into the classroom with a bunch of grade 9s, grade 8s, grade 9s, I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to say, hey, this is a 3D printer. Let's figure this out. And to me, that was the best way to figure it out, to put the pressure on me. And then they would like, okay, and then we picked a program to use. We had Chromebooks. So we had to try to figure out how to, okay, we want to design and, get the STL out, So it was, I learned more in that class for my own 3D printing experience than I could grow off it each year after that.
How were how did the kids receive it initially? Did they go out and start like designing stuff initially? Did they start going and looking for models online?
Yeah, and that's what I tended to show, I think, right? I mean, I like to start with models and maybe even printing a model for them or letting them pick something small, scale it down and say, okay, then you can take it home, because as soon as students get to take that tangible object home, they'll always remember. They're going to have it up on their shelf, and for the next 20 years, they'll look at that and they'll remember, oh, that's when I saw 3D printing or something for the first time. So that but then we did a few cute, cool other exercises with just 2D, turning 2D objects to 3D objects and different things like that. Sports teams and with the logos and that. So I have the project coming up with grade 1s with 3D printing here for Father's Day. We're going to do lithograms. Nice. So I'm going to, I'm really, like, I've never brought them down. And as an instructional coach, this is fun because now I'm going to we have about 3-4 printers for our division, and I'm going to, and I think I'm going to bring in the Robo C2 because it works well. And because I've used it for this, and I have about 3 or 4 printers where the kids will bring in their pictures and then print it for Father's Day, and so I thought that'd be kind of just to see the grade 1s when they see this get printed, and to see, get them thinking about it at a younger age.
That whole idea of another thing I always talk about and like preach about is that whole idea of 3D thinking. Mm-hmm. So letting kids like discover 3D printing for the first time and realize, I can go into a simple design program and make something for myself and bring it to life. And then, that piece right there I'll have forever. It could tell a story.
There's an ownership. They have ownership of it too. So there's a few different ways they've been I want to bring 3D printing into the curriculum. And then I've been thinking about like in language arts, trying to, where they're reading stories, can they start, making an object from, designing and printing it out of a story that they've read. And this could be done at any grade. So I'm kind of excited about doing different things like that, just trying to find all the different ways to connect it across, all the different subjects that I hadn't thought about using them before.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of resources out there. I mean, so when you said when you first got your first 3D printer, you were a little bit like, what am I going to do with it? If you're speaking to other teachers, because this is a thing we talk about all the time. We go to shows like ISTE and all these big educational shows, and we're talking to teachers, and a lot of them are just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to take the first step. And even when we provide like curriculum resources and all this content, it's still tough for them. What would you say to like a teacher that's like kind of interested, feeling around with it, but doesn't know?
And that's what I think that's an important thing to try to figure out how to crack that, because there's I understand that because even I was hesitant. I jumped in eventually. I knew I would. But I would just tell them to don't be afraid to play. But I think that's even where I'm thinking now. Like, you and I discussed that's where I want to kind of help teachers and make those tutorials, just so even if they're like 7-minute tutorials, okay, this is the first step. Oh, that's not that big of a deal. That was just 7 minutes of, and break it down in little pieces. So I think, as an instructional coach going out, trying to promote 3D printing, that's kind of how I'll probably do it like that, to show them, again, probably I would show them going to something like Thingiverse and, let's pick a design and print it. This is what the output could be. Well, let's go backwards now, design something simple type of thing, and then print that.
Yeah. And you have some really good videos, and like, obviously, thank you so much. I mean, we got you a C2 and you've been doing some cool stuff, and we've been sharing it on our channel, and but you have some cool videos. And honestly, we did actually today, randomly at the same time that we're interviewing you, we did a Tinkercad, like basics of Tinkercad blog, which we've kind of had queued up for a while.
Okay.
And it's so basic, but people really need to understand that Tinkercad is like unbelievably easy to use.
Well, that's what
I don't know if it was
that's what I use with the kids, because I think it's the best starting point for all.
I mean, just throwing something together in there. They have basic shapes, you just can move it around with your mouse and, put things into other objects and just, start building stuff, pretty much, within 10 minutes. And so and I think that part is so hard to get people over the hump is they don't know how to design.
Yeah.
And they're getting afraid, like the design part is too complicated. And we do this like little lesson, like build your own keychain and, just showing them that simple thing, like grab some shapes, drag them over here, size them, put a hole through it, merge objects together or group them together, and they build their little keychain with their name on it. Teachers, students are like, whoa, I just like made something for myself. And so like getting that empowering moment, I think is really important. So you use Tinkercad. Is there any other design programs you recommend?
In school I've used Tinkercad because it's so new. With the 3D printing, even for myself. I mean, I do some designing in Photoshop and different things like that. I don't consider myself a designer. So I think when I look at Fusion 360 and different ones, I want to, it's my goal to start doing tutorials, like taking tutorials where I learn, how to manage it. Cause I like when I look at the power of the possibilities. I've also, I've used for my iPad, I have that attachment that you can 3D scan objects. And
nice.
With some of the kids, and so I got them to sit in a chair and twirl them around and scan their head and sent that the STL file to the printer and printed their head, and they thought that was pretty cool. So
here's the next step. Ready for this? You can go on a Thingiverse. I'm giving a shout out to my guy and to my head of support, Dan. You can go. He's been doing this. I think we're gonna do a little tutorial on it, but you can take the scan of the head. Like basically cut it off so you just have the head portion of it, the model. Then go in and take a Superman bust, and go into 3D Builder on Microsoft and just literally you can just embed the face into the Superman, and you can turn anyone into Superman or any superhero, Catwoman, whatever one they have, and you can just take their face and put it into that. And then the kids get so crazy about that; they get excited.
And those are the type of projects I think. Any of the projects that I like. At first, they need to be kind of where it can't be almost academically complicated, but where there's a payoff at the end, they're going to get that object and builds that excitement. And like I said, it's not going to get, some students are going to be like, no, that's not for me. But the ones that, wow factor in it just catches that more students into a passion. That's the fun part I find. We have a cool teacher, Shelly, in Montana that we bring on every once in a while. And she has a 5th grade class. And they're learning about like oceanography right now. And so they're printing like coral reefs. And so they're designing and printing them. And I just thought that was really unique. It's something I've never heard, but like now all these kids know everything about coral reefs and about the ocean. And, that learning experience is just embedded in their brain because they've actually physically designed something and created it and now have it in the classroom. And they built this whole coral wall. And I was just like, whoa, this is kind of like the untapped power of 3D printing that I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of. Yes. And the ideas, as the ideas flow and, well, again, it's the possibilities of it. Yeah. And I think that's the thing when explaining to those teachers, they don't even know the possibilities yet. You almost just have to find that one lesson to do with them. And then they can start thinking on their own after that.
Yeah. So. Is there any like resources you recommend for teachers, if you just are getting your first 3D printer or really interested, where do they go?
I go to Thingiverse lots, and I know all the different websites. But what is it? Instructables. I think I like that.
Instructables, yeah.
It has more than 3D. I just like some of the 3D printing on there, but I like all the stuff it has on there too. But those are kind of two I go for, kind of the fun type. With all the other ones, whether it's Imagine or different sites. But I guess I tend to go to Thingiverse probably the most on it.
Okay.
Play around and look through. The way it's organized, I like the way it's organized and easy to find.
Yeah, it's pretty common. You can just search something in the search bar. You find a bunch of different examples. I'm actually, speaking of Thingiverse, I'm going on a camping trip soon. And I found like 10 things I printed just for this trip. It was crazy. So like I'm bringing them all and I'm going to do a little video. But yeah, there's tons of content. Most people don't know there are hundreds of thousands of free models out there that amazing designers have made that, we as 3D printer users can just go on there, type them in, download them, and print them for free. So it's a pretty incredible resource.
Best way to get people into it, understanding that too, because you know, even when I look at a lot of 3D printing channels, YouTube channels, they're not design. A lot of them aren't even designing. All they're doing is going to find great designs and printing them out, and people are addicted to see.
Yeah, Thingiverse for education. There's My Mini Factory. There's PinShape. There's 3D Shook. There's all these resources out there that you can just go and download models, and where there's lessons, you can go and see on some of those on their education side. So yeah, there's lots out there. Is there anywhere, Jamie, something that you like are really excited about for 3D printing in the future that maybe you've seen, or something that you want to use it for?
You know, I'm really interested in now I forget the word for it, but just how easy it is getting those images where you can take pictures of objects. Yeah. And, you know, let's say if you're outside and take a bunch of pictures from the angles of a statue, and, you know, and you go back and put it through a program, and it, you know, just stitches it all together and gets that, you know, as I notice more and more programs come out and do those type of things, it seems like they're getting easier and easier to do too. I like that for myself, just to be able to take something you see and turn it into that object, scale it down, and just things like that.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think that's really important. There's, you know, and people always ask us, like, why haven't we made a scanner? And I said, I mean, these things are going to scan. Like,
yes,
you know, they're already scanning. You know, there's already apps. There's an app we just downloaded that we've been working with because we test a lot of them, and it is called TRNIO, like Trinio.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's a great app. It's 99 cents. Amazing scanning, meshing together. One of our guys has been using it. That's the one he used to make the Superman models. So he's been doing that for a lot of people in our office. But it's just pretty incredible. And then we're talking about a world where, like, something breaks and you can scan it and put the pieces together and recreate it if you need.
That's an exciting part too. I always think about that. If, you know, people fixing up cars or different that little piece, you know, that if you could just either design it yourself or go to their manufacturer website here, print out the object, you know, and do something like that, and just to have it like that, and then those 3D printers in the home are just, that's going to be a tool in the house that you're going to have.
That's how we see it. Everyone always talks about, like, having 3D printers in the home, and albeit it kind of being a little bit far-fetched in terms of, like, the idea of it now, it is going to be in homes as, like, a tool. Yeah. You're going to need to create something. If you want to customize something, if you want to just build something because you're a creative human being, you'll be able to have that tool kind of just sitting right at your disposal at home. Yeah. So we're betting on that. So put a lot of time and energy, obviously, making machines easier to use, and you know, expand the type of materials you can use and making them just more simple to understand. So hopefully we can get there.
One of my twins is crying outside the door.
All good. We're getting done here. Any shout outs you want to give before we get out of here? So you can get back to the twin. Any shout outs you want to give?
Well, I think they left now. I saw him kind of looking in here, kind of mad at me for what am I doing?
Well, there's a shout out I want to give is go to Jamie's channel. It's called Teachers Tech on YouTube. Click the subscribe button, watch some of his videos. You have a lot of cool stuff, not just 3D. I mean, you have a couple of 3D printing videos in there, which I really liked. I mean, great tutorials.
I'll get more. And that's, like, as I said, I think over the summer, that's definitely one of my goals to grow it. Especially,
and you do a good job. You do a really good job with the tutorials. They're really well taught out. I mean, I followed through on a lot of them. You know, they're 6-7 minute long tutorials that kind of step by step you through how to do certain things you want to teach. So definitely go check them out if you're interested. I don't know, you have a couple of them in there, turning a 2D into a 3D. You have the lithopane.
And I give kind of the resource site example, kind of to get started if you just got a 3D printer type of thing too. Yeah. So.
Cool. So stay tuned. Lots more from Jamie to come. Obviously, we'll be sharing stuff on our channel as well as you post it. So thanks, Jamie, for coming on. Hopefully some teachers see this after the fact, get inspired. We're going to be putting a section together on our site that's going to have all these interviews. So this is number 15. I'm super stoked to have you on. Thanks again.